This is the story of April 10, 1912, RMS Titanic ship. Titanic was a real story, the world's largest and most luxurious ship of its time. It was on its maiden voyage. Ship was on its way to New York from Southampton, England. And inside sat many people, from big industrialists and actors to immigrants who were going to America for a better life. Ship was commanded by Edward John Smith, senior captain of Bassett. The public and the media were very excited about the Titanic ship. It was not only the largest ship in the world. It is 269 meters longer than the other and 50 meters higher. In fact, the luxury involved in building it was going to be a great deal. At that time, the cost of making this ship was $7.5 million. If you take inflation into account, that's $400 million today. Facilities and furnishings inside the ship would rival a 5-star hotel. Stained glass windows and new wood paneling. 2 grand staircases, a heated swimming pool, Turkish baths, electric baths, a gym, a squash court, for restaurants, to barber shops, and a library. And because of the way the safety features were used to build the Titanic, ship was deemed unsinkable. It was a ship that can never sink because it is very safe. According to name of the company that built this Titanic ship was White Star Line. The vice president of this company was so confident about this and openly said that this ship is unsinkable. But only 2 days after first trip, on April 12, 1912, Titanic was the first to get its ice warnings. That is the Atlantic Ocean, where the ice is rising towards the Titanic America. There are icebergs on the top of the big snowy mountains, which are dangerous for this Titanic ship. These warnings are not so unusual. The ship passing through the ocean often communicates with the nearby ships through the radio, and tells them that there are many snow in this area of the ocean. Be careful. After receiving these warnings, Titanic changes its course twice to avoid danger, but doesn't reduce its speed. 5 knots, which is equivalent to 40 kmph. This ship keeps moving forward in its journey at such a speed. 2 days later, on April 14, 1912, 7 more ice warnings are given, but Captain Smith and his crew leave these warnings. The Titanic's rafting does not decrease. Gradually, the sun sets and the night falls. The heat falls down. The special thing about this April 14th night is that the moon didn't come out. Without the moonlight of moon, visibility was very low this night. A small platform on a high height is called a lookout point. It is always kept here by someone so that they keep an eye on what is coming from the Titanic ship. Is there any traffic or obstructions? So, the person who sat on this place has to be very cold. The air was very cold from a very high altitude. It was night, and due to the cold air, tears started coming from the eyes. It is even more difficult to see further. It is 11:49 p.m. at night. A man named Frederick Fleet is sitting in this crow's nest. He suddenly sees a big snowy mountain in front of him. An iceberg has come. He quickly calls the clock 3 times so that the people sitting below can hear. Then he picks up the phone and calls the officers on the bridge. He screams and says, "There is an iceberg in front of us. Quickly turn the ship." The first officers are sitting on the bridge and listening to this instruction. They give the message to the engine room that turn the Titanic ship left. But unfortunately, it is very late. Only after 1 minute, 11:40 p.m. The ship goes from this iceberg. The time was 11:40 p.m. The iceberg raised the right side of the ship. And all of a sudden, she lifted up quickly. Iceberg was not a small iceberg. It was 200 by 400 feet in length. A football field was as big as it was. And it was reaching the height of a crow's nest. Scientists estimate that the weight of this iceberg was 1.5 million tons. This crash with the iceberg took place on the right side of the ship. The Titanic ship accident specifically. It happened near the bow. It was about 10 seconds away from the iceberg and a huge dent was found. Due to this, some small holes in the ship's main body were also found. You might be wondering how this can be possible. The sinking of the Titanic is one of the most famous maritime disasters in history. The luxury British passenger liner, often referred to as the unsinkable ship, sank on its maiden voyage on April 15, 1912, after colliding with an iceberg in the North Atlantic Ocean. Tragedy resulted in the loss of over 1,500 lives. The disappearance of the Titanic has been a subject of fascination for many. But it's important to note that the ship itself did not vanish. Instead, it sank to the bottom of the ocean, approximately 2.4 miles 8 kilometers, below the surface, where it remained undiscovered for over 70 years. The exact location of the Titanic's wreck was unknown until September 1, 1985, when a joint American-French expedition, led by Dr. Robert Ballard, finally located the shipwreck. Using side-scan sonar and remote-controlled cameras, they discovered the Titanic ship debris field on the seabed. The Titanic sank due to a combination of factors. First and foremost, the ship was traveling through an area known for the presence of icebergs, and the crew had received multiple iceberg warnings throughout the day. However, due to a variety of reasons, including miscommunication and overconfidence in the ship's capabilities, the warnings were not adequately heeded. When the Titanic ship struck the iceberg, the hull of the ship was punctured, causing it to flood with water. The ship's design, specifically the lack of a complete watertight compartment system and inadequate lifeboat capacity, contributed to rapid sinking. The ship ultimately broke apart and then sank over the course of a few hours. The sinking of the Titanic had a profound impact on maritime safety regulations. It led to significant improvements in shipbuilding practices, such as the requirement for sufficient lifeboat capacity for all passengers and crew, mandatory 24-hour radio communication on passenger ships, and the establishment of the International Ice Patrol to monitor icebergs in the North Atlantic. The mystery of Titanic's ship did not mysteriously disappear, but sank to the ocean floor after colliding with an iceberg. The tragedy was a result of a combination of factors, including inadequate precautions, design flaws, and the harsh conditions of the North Atlantic.